Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have another Innistrad double feature draft, and we get a nice and easy pick one, pack one, with a great rare and nothing super insane in terms of our commons and uncommons, so pretty easy. Geralf Visionary Stitcher here, a 3-mana 1/4, gives all of your zombies flying, and lets you sacrifice non-token creatures to create XX zombies, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. And as long as Geralf is on the board, those will of course be flying tokens. You can absolutely shred your opponent with that. If both of the rares were not ideal here, then the best common is probably Diregraph Horde. This card was just absolutely absurd. Back in Innistrad Midnight Hunt, a 5-mana 3/4 that comes with 2 decayed 2/2s. Sure, they die as soon as they attack, but that's still a ridiculous amount of power for only 5 mana, and you shut off graveyard synergies by exiling 2 cards from graves when it enters the board. And now we do see a pretty great blue uncommon to be a really easy follow-up to Geralf, and I think that'll be the pick for me here. We see Overwhelmed Archivist, 3 mana for a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, discard a card, and you can disturb it from your graveyard for 4 mana to bring it back as a 2/1 flyer to keep drawing cards and discarding cards at that point. So really nice value on this card. Even if it was just the front half of the card, it would be okay, but the fact that it's 2 sides is really, really good value. Now in pack 3, certainly a lot less going on, but Catapult Fodder would combo pretty well with Geralf. Geralf is going to want a lot of creatures with high toughness in our deck. Catapult Fodder is going to want a lot of creatures with high toughness in our deck. And if we can flip the Catapult Captain, it's a way to kill our opponent really quickly. Or if we just have it out with Geralf, we can turn into a 5/5 flying zombie, which can also kill our opponent really quickly. Catapult Fodder just seems pretty solid for what we're doing here. There's not much else going on in blue or black. We see Skulking Killer with an ability that rarely activates well, and like Persistent Specimen, which can be fun with sacrifice strategies, but not a super high pick to me. Yeah, I think the best cards in this pack are probably just Catapult Fodder, Heron of Hope, Sacred Fire, and Hamlet Vanguard. But those other 3 cards are all pretty off color, so I'm just going to grab Catapult Fodder here. I think it'll synergize more than a Heron of Hope would with our blue cards. Blue-black Exploit, blue-black Sacrifice is definitely a thing you can do in this format. And we see a couple black cards that are good for that strategy again, Novice Occultist and Doomed Dissenter having solid abilities when they die. But there's also Cruel Witness in blue if we want to stick heavy into blue so that our second color isn't completely tied to black. And I'd be fine with that. I think Cruel Witness is pretty comparable in power level to these black commons. Very solid card, 3/3 flyer for 4, and it gives you some scrying or surveilling, whatever you want to call it, manipulating your top deck so you draw the cards you're looking for. I really like Lantern Bearer in blue. It's just really good with a lot of things in this format. It's good with exploits from Crimson Vow, sacrificing it to get stuff out. It's good with blood tokens from Crimson Vow to discard it and then reanimate it from the grave. It's good with any self-mill that we hit, with cards like Organ Hoarder from Midnight Hunt. So I really, really like Lantern Bearer in blue. I think Blood Crazed Socialate's a really good common as well. But again, we're very tied into blue, and we're only kind of touching on black currently. The white cards here are pretty impressive to be in this pack this late. Ambitious Farmhand and Search Party Captain, so that could be a sign that white is somewhat open. But we're still seeing fantastic blue cards this late too, so blue is certainly wide open too. Here we have a Bait Hook Angler, another one of these great disturb cards, great to exploit or discard or sacrifice in any other way. Mischievous Catgeist is fine too. I almost think I like Bait Hook Angler better than the Catgeist. I don't know, I just haven't had great success with the Catgeist because you do have to be able to be getting in on your opponent to get value off of this. You have to be able to do damage to your opponent. I guess with a lot of flyers, the enchantment works pretty well. Maybe we should take the Catgeist over the Angler, but Angler's been just so consistently good to me. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go with the higher rarity one. We'll take the Catgeist. And now there's pretty much nothing going on in this pack. Take a Skywarp Scab, I guess, although it combos very poorly with our Disturb cards, which we have 2 of currently. Maybe even just the Snare over that. Counterspells are definitely good in the double feature format where there's 2 rares in every pack. It's good to have ways to deal with those rares. I don't love Unblinking Observer because blue just has a lot of cheap creatures with Disturb that I prefer a lot more than cheap creatures that maybe add a mana. So I'm almost just on one of these white cards here in case blue-white Disturb is open, which it looks to be. There's Beloved Beggar, which can come back as a really big generous soul, but you really have to wait to get it to die. You have to have a way to get it to die, like sacrifice it or something for it to be good. Whereas Infantry is great because it just consistently trades off so easily. Just a 2-mana 2/2 that's going to be getting in combat all the time and dying at some point pretty easily. So I think Eccentric Farmer is the best card in this pack, and it does synergize with our blue cards pretty well because it's a little bit of self-mill. This is a 3-mana 2/3. You mill 3, then pick up a land from your graveyard to your hand. So kind of like the green Oregon Hoarder, it digs 3 cards deep to draw you specifically a land card. Now we have Syncopate, which I've very, very much liked in this format, or Binding Geist, which I think is also solid, but I'm a very, very big fan of Syncopate. I think it's my favorite counterspell in the format just because of how cheap you can cast it to stop your opponent from dropping their really big bomb, because most opponents are just going to tap out for their large bomb the turn that they have the mana for it, and with Syncopate you only have to spend 2 mana to stop them from doing it, so you only have to hold 2 up to be safe with Syncopate. There's a late Sacred Fire, but we're also not going to be blue, red, white, so I'll take Component Collector. It'll work fine with Catapult Fodder and Giralf and all that. A 1/4 nice high toughness creature. So we're blue and X. We're either blue-green, blue-black, blue-white. We could even be blue-red if we open up a great red rare. We'll see. Alright, well, we open up 2 dual lands, so our rare is not really going to dictate where things go here. And neither are the uncommons or the commons. This pack is just very bad, I would say. I mean, some of the uncommons are pretty solid, like Blood Tithe Harvester is pretty good, but there's no way we can do that. We can't be Grixis zombies, blue, black, red zombies. Defend the Celestius is solid. I guess we could just take that for going down the blue-green path, but honestly, it's not that great, and neither is Flame Channeler. They're both just fine. So I'm almost just on flip the switch here. But I don't even think I would run it, because if I just get a few Syncopates, I'm just going to run those. Cut any other counter spells we have. Could even take the Heirloom, I guess, for being really open with our mana fixing. But I very much am not a huge fan of this pack. Feels like a pretty big miss. I'm just going to take Flip the Switch. So now we have Brinecomer for blue-white Disturb. Another Eccentric Farmer for blue-green Mill. We did pick up this Drogskull Infantry really late. Picked up the Eccentric Farmer pretty late as well, so I think blue-white or blue-green would be decent ways to go. Kind of want to pick up the Brinecomer. We've already got 2 Disturb cards that turn into auras to slap onto Brinecomer. Actually 3 of them, because Lantern Bearer as well works for that synergy. Where whenever we're targeting the Brinecomer, we're getting more 1/1 flyers. Yeah, I'll take the Brinecomer here, see if we can't go down blue-white Disturb. Although now it's just a bunch of black cards, a Siege Zombie, a Defenestrate, an Evolving Wilds, I suppose. Evolving Wilds and Foreboding Statue being the most open cards. Just going to keep bouncing back and forth between what we're doing. We don't really have any removal, but we've got a lot of counter spells. It's kind of just what blue does for removal. So maybe we take Defenestrate. Don't see any white cards in here. We see 5 black cards. I mean, I guess there's Piercing Light, but that's very borderline playable. Take a Defenestrate. Don't love how back and forth this draft has gone. Now we can take Biolume Egg. This is kind of a blue-black gold card because it's really at its best in blue-black, where you can sacrifice it to cards like the Catapult Fodder that we've picked up or other exploit cards. But even if we don't end up in black, technically we have Giralf, Visionary Stitcher to sacrifice it, and we can pick up some mono blue exploit ways to do so. Card is very good if you can sacrifice it and bring it back as the Serpent, because you get that sacrificial value for free and leave behind a nice big 4/4 body. So I like the Biolume Egg quite a bit. Well, I guess there's Repository Scab to give us some ways to sacrifice cards in mono blue. There's also Shady Traveler, a decent evasive creature in black, or Undying Malice for a cheap little trick to bring a creature back to the board. Fine with all of those. Mysterious Tome is fun. It's also very slow, so I don't think it'll be the pick here. That being said, we're not taking it over like a ton of other good stuff. I'm just going to go with the Scab. Again, stick to very heavy into blue. Maybe we'll just play mono blue at this point, at this rate. So another great Disturb card, the Gale Drifter, or Scattered Thoughts are my top two here. I do like Cruel Witness as well, but I think I'd take Gale Drifter over Cruel Witness. And Scattered Thoughts I like because it's filling a role we don't have any of yet, which is card draw. We have like 0 card draw. So I like filling that out. Yeah, we've got 14 creatures already, no card draw. Kind of like taking Scattered Thoughts. Howling Zombie's the best white, green, or black card in the pack. So it could be a sign for again moving into blue-black, but maybe we're just mono-blue Whispering Wizard. If you've seen my first Crimson Vow draft, you'll know how much I love Whispering Wizard. We drafted a full playset of Whispering Wizard there, and it was hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I really like the card. I'll pick up a Whispering Wizard. Mono-blue Whispering Wizard draft. Just have a pretty wild time with it. Revenge the Drowned is probably a little bit worse than Bloodcrave Socialite, but not by a lot. And now at this point, I just want to do Mimi things because it looks possible to me to go mono blue here. So I kind of want to go for it. We'll see. See if we get there. We've got a lot of creatures at 3 mana. Well, not a whole ton, but I don't think Wanderlight Spirit would make the cut, so it's the Ceremonial Life or the Secrets of the Key. I think I'd take the Secrets of the Key for a Whispering Wizard deck. Evolving Wilds? I guess Evolving Wilds isn't going to do anything if we end up in mono blue, but yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just fully commit to trying my best to go mono blue, because we're seeing like Cruel Witnesses pick 12. So blue is the most open color in this draft pod. Last pick, Mysterious Tome. Or second to last. Seems good. We're 1 card away from having a deck, and there it is, last pick, Gale Drifter, okay. Alright, we got an 18 land deck here. And now there's 1 blue card in the pack, but luckily it's the best blue common in the entire format. Organ Hoarder. 4 mana for a 3/2 zombie. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand and the rest into the grave. If you are strictly trying to win, not trying to have a good time, we should put Drogskull Infantry and Brinecomer back in this deck and slam Catilda, because Catilda is quite a bomb rare. One of the highest performing rares in the entire Crimson Vow set. But I'm trying to do silly things and have fun here. If you want my recommendation on how to win more games of Magic, slam Catilda here, for sure. But I'm going to take Organ Hoarder. And had we slammed Catilda, we now get to take Savior of Allenbach, another white rare. But 2 colored decks are for cowards. We're going to take Steelclad Serpent here because we only have 1 2-mana card. And Storm Chaser Drake's a really, really nice pickup here. Another 2-drop that we're looking for, plus it combos well with our Disturb abilities. Throw some auras on that. Stitched Assistant gives us another way to sacrifice our Biolume Egg. And we have 1 or 2 ways to make Decayed Zombies as well, and it's good to sacrifice a Catgeist or a Lantern Bearer as well. Actually a good amount of little synergies for the Stitched Assistant. Got a lot of 4-mana stuff going on here. I think I want to cut some of those. Probably Repository Scab. For sure. I really like Falcon Abomination, but I also like getting more cheap cards like Mischievous Catgeist here. Lunar Rejection is a really good interaction too, especially if we're paired against a Wolf or Werewolf deck. Bounce their card and draw a card. This is a pretty hard pick. I guess we do have Component Collector to cut at 3, so that's only 4 3-drops. It's not that bad if we just slammed out another Falcon Abomination. Or a Falcon Abomination. I'm already not looking to play my first Mysterious Tome, so I probably wouldn't play the second, but I'm not going to play Wretched Throng if we only have one copy of it, which seems quite likely here. But I think there's absolutely no way I'm going to play 2 copies of Mysterious Tome, so I'll take a Wretched Throng. Maybe somebody's going to pass another one at some point. But for now, it's going in the sideboard. And I think I am cutting this Mysterious Tome. And the Geist Light Snare, because Flip the Switch is just better most of the time. We do see the second Wretched Throng. Alright, never mind. We get to play the double Wretched Throng here. Nice. Don't know about Secrets of the Key. I mean, it makes our Whispering Wizard better, because it gives us a card we can flashback to cast 2 instants. We can get 2 1/1 flyers. Ooh, love the Startle here. Really late Braincomber. We would have a sick blue-white Disturb deck, that's for sure. But Startle is also quite a good card. Maybe cut a Steelclad Spirit at this point. Need to cut a little bit more. Probably some of the big stuff. Maybe we just stop the curve at 4. Because none of our big stuff's very good. Maybe we keep 1 Monstrosity, but I don't like our 5-drops. Because a lot of our creatures have Disturb, so I really don't like that Skywarp Scab that makes us want to exile 1 from grave. Yeah, we see a Kindly Ancestor here. 3 cards left in the pack. We also get that Mischievous Catgeist with only 2 cards left. That is definitely getting ran. Now we have 5 2-drops even without the Steelclad Spirit, so we could cut that. Well, we also have a decent bit of Disturb cards that come back as auras to be able to attack with the Steelclad Spirit. So its defender downside isn't as big in our deck as it usually is. This is 18 creatures, so we should cut 1, and I probably cut Steelclad Spirit before any other creature here. We don't have a lot of ways to sacrifice our Biolume Egg, I guess, now that I'm looking at it. We just have Giralf and Stitched Assistant here. Might be too few, that might be a little too cheeky of a combo to try to go with. So Biolume Egg and Steelclad Spirit would be the 2 cards we're looking to cut first, before anything else, I think. We need to cut 2 cards out of the deck, so we could just cut those 2 right there, go to a 16 creature deck. Make the Whispering Wizard a little better, having a slightly higher non-creature count. I think I'm down for that. Let's go for it here. Mono blue in Innistrad double feature. So while this is definitely not the best deck that the sealed pool could have given us, even trying to go mono blue, we ended up with Braincomber, Kindly Ancestor, and Drogskull Infantry. Like, had we been pushing into white there in that last pack, this deck would be an absurd blue-white Disturb deck, because the just rare into Mythic pick 1, pick 2. But I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing fun things today. Which is appealing to my monkey brain and going monocolored in draft when it's very rarely the right choice. Such as here, it's definitely not. The blue-white deck would have been insane. Alright. Get this deck a name and get in there. Alright, here we are in round 1 with our mono blue deck with a very keepable hand. Lots of 2 mana, 3 mana cards. 2 lands to cast most of the hand. If our opponent has a creature on board, we'll go with the flyer, and if they don't, we'll go with the Catgeist. See if we can start drawing some cards here. If they play a creature that would block the Catgeist well, we have a great like 2-3-4 curve where we play our Stormchaser Drake on turn 2. Then on turn 3 we play our Archivist to discard the Catgeist. Then on turn 4 we can put the Cat-like Curiosity onto the Stormchaser Drake. We draw a card immediately when we target the Drake, as well as drawing a card when we deal combat damage. So I might even just go for that curve without, even if they don't play a creature here. And I think I will. My one concern would be they could have cheap removal here. So maybe go for Wretched Throng instead. I think the upside of the curve is high enough to play into potential removal from our opponent. So Fearful Villager. Time for the Overwhelmed Archivist to discard the Catgeist. Now we've got a Dreadlight Monstrosity on 6, that's nice. Hit for 2 in the sky. We'll be drawing 2 cards next turn, if they let us. My apologies about my voice today. Just a little under the weather, a little gravelly here. Trying to drink a lot of water so it's not so bad. Here comes the removal spell. They're eyeing our creatures very closely. Oh no, another Fearful Villager, okay. So we do have to worry about them outracing us. But that's not an immediate concern. I'm just going to sit here drawing cards for a moment. Because I could hold Archivist back to block, but we attack for 5, then they hit for 4, then we hit for 5, then they hit for 4, so we're currently winning the race. So we just get in for now. We have Startle as a combat trick that also stops a little bit of their damage. Then we have a 6/6 later. That should be a really big blocker and potentially unblockable to finish them off. A little scared here. This is going to be a little bit of a scary game, getting into a race with a Werewolf deck. Alright, it's not going to be so bad now, because we can easily, we can just double spell here. But I'm going to go ahead and draw the card from Stormchaser Drake before I do anything else. See if I can draw another just creature to play alongside the Wretched Throng instead of having to startle for no value. I mean, I still draw the card off startle, but... do I want to startle for double value here? Just draw 2 cards off of it? Because I'm going to play Wretched Throng. I think I do. We draw 2 cards off this startle now. Could even draw a Syncopate, but we have not. So play with Fire Resolves. We hit for 3 and now we cast our second spell for turn to flip these werewolves back. We've drawn a lot of cards this game, that's for sure. Alright, another easy double spell turn. We could play Dreadlight Monstrosity, but then we're worried about some 4/3 menace creatures slapping us in the face, so that does not seem ideal. I think I'd rather Cruel Witness and Mischievous Catgeist here. Get in with that Archivist. Ooh, we take the trade here. Alright, trade into a Sure Strike. Still cool with me. Now we can play the Archivist from the grave instead of the Cruel Witness if we want. I think I'd rather play the Cruel Witness here for just more damage. Archivist's ability is definitely pretty great. The Archive Haunt here, being able to draw, discard, get out of all this flood. But opponent's at 10 life here. I kind of like just putting more pressure on, dealing more damage. Purifying Dragon. Unfortunate. That is a very good attacker for our opponent. Luckily we can trade into it with just Cruel Witness, but the fact that it can attack and just kill our Catgeist or our Wretched Throng or our Overwhelmed Archivist if we put that on the board. So we definitely don't want to play that. So we do have a card in exile, so we could just play Dreadlight Monstrosity and threaten to kill them in 2 turns. Plus it has Ward 2, so they'll have to pay more if they try to kill it. I think I like that. Cruel Witness is already enough to block the dragon. They're already not attacking with the Fearful Villagers either. So yeah, let's just get our threat out. Get this Dreadlight Monstrosity out, ready to kill them in 2 attacks. They can also take down our Decayed Zombie with Purifying Dragon if they wish. But that would be the weakest target, because our Decayed Zombie doesn't do too much for us here against these 2/3 blockers. Alright, they're going to go ahead and kill the Decayed Zombie, fair enough. I guess both of these creatures have a good ability when they die. We can bring the Catgeist back as an aura, and the Wretched Throng will get us a replacement. Ooh, dear. So whenever it flips between day and night, they can bring that back from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Alright, that's not that bad. We have the mana to make Monstrosity unblockable and play a flying blocker. And then just kill them next attack. Oh, it costs 5 to do that. Okay, never mind. Thought it cost 3 to do that, but we're still fine. We still just kill them next turn. We take 8 here, so unless they drew away to do 4 damage to us, we'll be okay. They have to have drawn removal or a 4 damage burn spell, otherwise they lose. Even if they draw any other blocker, it's not going to help against Dreadlight Monstrosity. Pax Betrayal. That actually might do it. Yeah, because I don't have enough to block Menace anymore. Well, pretty fantastic top deck from our opponent is going to close this game out, unfortunately. Wow. Really unfortunate way to end that one. Alright, here we are in game 2. Definitely a keeper for me. Blue-white from our opponent. Esper into Geralf turn 3. We don't have any counter magic up yet, so Geralf gets to stay on board, do his thing, and potentially take over this game. Diagraph Scavenger just for a flying Death Toucher. Here's a Gale Drifter to trade with it. Better than playing the Cruel Witness because of the Death Touch. The Diagraph Scavenger would trade either way. And Gale Drifter can do something for us from the graveyard, whereas Cruel Witness won't. They could sack the Scavenger to Geralf's ability to make it a 3/3 zombie, but that does the same thing basically, just trades into Gale Drifter. Revenge the Drowned. It's not a bad draw here. We don't have the mana to play that and hold up removal for Geralf. Well, and hold up a counterspell for Geralf. And I can't just use it on Diagraph Scavenger because they'll just respond by sacrificing it anyway. So feel like I just pass and I try to like Revenge the Drowned during their end step and then hold up a counterspell next turn to deal with Geralf. going to pass turn here. Alright, well, then I'll do the thing. Bounce Giralf during their end step. See if they have a counter spell here of their own. Oh, Giralf will go to the top. So their Scavenger is no longer flying, and we can just counter Giralf when they cast it here. Just get in with our flyers. I think I'm going to go for a flip the switch over a devious cover up because we only have one card in grave. So I'm going to play Catgeist and flip the switch. Fierce Retribution, that's allowed. If we counter that, we don't have the mana to counter Giralf, which is definitely a bigger deal. Flip the switch on Giralf. Now we get to hold up Devious Cover up this turn. If we want to, it might be better to get more pressure on this board, put a Gale Drifter down so we're attacking for 4 per turn. We would put the shields down for 1 turn. I think playing Gale Drifter is better than playing Cruel Witness because Gale Drifter has the threat of getting exiled by another Diagraph Scavenger from our opponent, whereas Cruel Witness, they're not going to make us discard, I don't think. That being said, it is more damage to just play Cruel Witness first. I don't know, I'm still going to play Gale Drifter here. The other thing about Cruel Witness is if we make it to 8 mana, we can Cruel Witness and still hold up cover up. But I think I'm just trying to put 1 more flyer on this board and then hold up cover up every other turn. They're on a 4-turn clock here. I guess a 3-turn clock, because on the 3rd attack we just attack with all the decayed zombies. They can't block all of them. They can only block 2, so that'd be an additional 4 damage there. So 4 damage on the first attack, 4 damage on the next attack, and on the 3rd attack, 4 plus 4 more from the ground troops. Ooh, Rite of Oblivion, going to exile our Catgeist. Alright. We are 1 mana away from dropping Cruel Witness and holding up Devious Cover Up. And we are on the 3-attack lethal plan. The 2 flyers the first 2 turns, and then everybody on the final attack. Fear of Death. That messes up our plan for lethal, so I am going to counter that. Slows down our clock a lot. Now we get to play Cruel Witness and hold up Startle. Just going for the GG here. Let's send in the troops, because now we have Startle, so they block Wretched Throng and we Startle here. And then we still have lethal next turn. We get to stack another Cruel Witness on top and draw into that for next turn. And there's the concession from our opponent. So my apologies to not GGing back at my opponent, but I don't like to GG till I know the game's 100% over. So I was like, I don't know, maybe they still have a shot. They could drop a Wrath on us next turn. They just go planes into that Wrath spell. Or they could have the black-white Wrath as well. The Cleave Wrath effect from Innistrad Crimson Vow. Alright, so here we are now, game 3 on the play. Nice turn to Stormchaser Drake. Always love that. Playing against blue-red. We're going to see a Flame Blast Bolt here. No, Stormchaser Drake remains for a turn. It's going to be a no-value Stitched Assistant here, just a 3-mana 3/2, I think. Yeah, we've got a Scattered Thoughts in our hand for card draw. Always feels bad not to get some exploit value, but I think it's better to still play everything out on curve than it is to wait on that till turn like 6 because we'd have to wait till after we revenge the drowned and get a decayed zombie. So Gale Drifter here, so we can keep attacking in the sky. Could attack with Stitched Assistant, offer the trade with Steelclad Spirit, and then surprise Startle. But that's going to soak up all of my plays for the turn. I'd rather just play the flyer here. We can do that play with Startle at a later time. Trade our Startle into the Steelclad Spirit instead of our Stitched Assistant. So the blue-red deck has 4 mana now, and they just passed the turn, probably holding up Syncopate-style counter spells, I suppose. So we attack in here, and if they block, we startle. Oh, they're holding up a Chill of the Grave. Okay. That's definitely allowed. So do we attack in and do the startle, and then if we don't have to do startle, we do Scattered Thoughts? I think we do. I think we do, because we've got a lot of 2 and 3 mana creatures we could draw into here to potentially do a follow-up play. Ooh, that was, that's not the right creature to give -2/-0 to. That would have been bad if Arena didn't ask me if I was sure. But yeah, like, we don't need to drop Scattered Thoughts till we're out of plays. And now we're not out of plays. We've got a Crow Witness plus Lantern Bearer to play this turn. Trade off into the Elementalist here. They got a Flame Blast Bolt at the ready to shoot Gale Drifter with, which is annoying, but we don't have any counter spells, so that's just going to happen. Let's just send in and get this Elementalist off the board now. Unfortunately, Elementalist achieves its goal of getting the 2-for-1, killing our Assistant and our Gale Drifter, which is actually disgusting because it's kind of a 3-for-1, because the whole point of Gale Drifter is it can come back later, not when it's exiled. Startle just to draw a card here. Another Flame Blast Bolt, good lord. Well, we know the red removal was wide open in our opponent's draft pod here. Let's get more power on the board. Storm Skrillex, let's just plop that right back into their deck here. Slow them down, hit them for 6. And potentially they'll even just recast that next turn. Getting rid of the counterspell here, because right now I'm just trying to find lethal, so I'm looking for another like Revenge of the Drowned style effect to close this one out real quick. We can Scatter Thoughts and still play the Catgeist, let's go for it. Don't want that. Devious Cover-Up, Falcon Abomination, Wretched Throng, and Wretched Throng. Falcon Abomination is going to be huge here, because it's 2 creatures off of 1 card. We're about to put our opponent to 2 life here. If we attack with everybody, we lose the Archivist, put them to 2. So then we'd want to play a 2/1 creature like a Wretched Throng. So they're probably playing a creature or a removal spell here. If they're not, they're just dead. So if they do, our plan is probably to go Feral Abomination and then cast the Archivist from our grave, if we can. Alright, so a removal spell and a creature. So that's going to make it definitely harder to get lethal, but we do hit the land to go Abomination Archive Haunt here, which is excellent. Now we'll have 4 attackers against their 2 blockers. Every single one of them can do the 2 damage we need to kill our opponent. So they need to do the same again this turn. They need 2 more blockers or 2 more removal spells to survive. Or 1 of each. Seize the Storm is 1 more blocker. And we should be good. If not, Whispering Wizard into Catgeist is going to refuel us with some more flying creatures, which should be great. Another 3/2 on the ground and a 1/1 in the sky. That's why we're discarding the Catgeist here, so we have a non-creature spell to cast alongside the Whispering Wizard. Alright. Need the removal spell to survive here. They have the Startle. That'll do it. That'll survive the attack. They have 2 blockers here. They can make 1 more with Seize the Storm, but they only have 1 flying blocker, which is a pretty big deal. Just shuffle our library for fun, I guess. I guess we only hit for 1 in the sky if they only have 1 flying blocker, but I still think it's going to be better to play this Whispering Wizard than the Organ Hoarder right now. This could be another creature on the board. They're just going to block Falcon Abomination with Strelix. And we're just going to block Whispering Wizard with the 6/6. I guess it doesn't really matter where we put the Curiosity. Get that land out of here. Cruel Witness, another flying blocker, and Reckless Stormseeker on the ground. They're gonna get in bold. Well, yeah, if we get 1 aura for like +1/+1, we just kill them on the spot. So like if we Organ Hoarder into our 1 mana flyer, we can enchant for 3. I guess they already killed it, the Lantern Bearer. This is a very bold attack from opponent. Because we hit another Lantern Bearer off Organ Hoarder, we win. I guess they don't know that we have Organ Hoarder. They also wouldn't know that we don't have more Lantern Bearers. Sure, that Monstrosity's not going to do it for us here. We can hit them for 1. I think we just die to the Giant Trampler. Seize the Storm recast from the grave. Another big trampler that they can give haste because of Reckless Stormseeker, and now they've got 15 trample damage coming at us, and we have too few toughness to survive that. 15 minus 7 is more than lethal right there. Brutal game. These are some rough losses for sure. But a really excellent blue-red flashback deck from our opponent. Pretty cool stuff. Alright, here we are, round 4. Another definite keep on the play here. See if we can't get some Catgeists to draw some cards. Come on, Catgeist, I believe in you. No 2-drop from our opponent, fingers crossed. No 2-drop from our opponent. Alright, let's just start drawing cards and keep doing so all game, shall we? Could be a really annoying mono blue tempo deck here and just have held up the flip the switch and just counter whatever they do here, but I kind of want to Revenge of the Drowned if we can get the mana for that. That would also be great. Oh yeah. Let's go. Four mana now, just the Spell Rune Painter again. We get to play Lantern Bearer and still hold up Flip the Switch. Love that. Could also just not hold up the Flip the Switch for now and just get really aggressive, which I also am a pretty big fan of. Let's actually attack all here, because now they'll block the Catgeist, so we get 2 damage in from the Decayed Zombie. And then we get to play Lantern Bearer and slap the Curiosity onto the Abomination, so we're still drawing a card every turn, because they're just not going to have flyers. They are also down to 10. So maybe just put more power out instead of the Curiosity. Then we could just put the Curiosity out next turn. Yeah, I mean, they're down to 10. We already have 4 cards in hand. I mean, we're doing great here. We're gonna be fine. I actually do like having 5 mana, potentially, so I'm just gonna throw the other Catgeist in grave. See what they have here. Hopefully not a creature big enough to block Archivist well. Alright, you got it. Trigger your life lost card. There's a lot of vampires in Midnight Hunt that care about opponents losing life. Okay, it's just burn down the house for a Wrath. Thanks to the Catgeist, we've just drawn so many cards that does not affect us too poorly here, especially because we get to play Organ Hoarder here as well. Draw a card immediately, grab another flyer or a Whispering Wizard. With all this in grave, Whispering Wizard's going to absolutely go off. So I'm going to take Whispering Wizard and play Wretched Throng here. But Storm Chaser Drake would have been a solid pick as well. But now next turn, if I hit a land, I go Whispering Wizard and cast one of these from the grave. Get the aura out and spit out another flyer. And potentially really rebuild. Return burn down the house. Well, let's hold up our Flip the Switch then. Spell Rune Painter's back. 3 mana to flip the switch. We can't Whispering Wizard and hold it up because Whispering Wizard costs 4. So let's just give our biggest creature flying to speed the clock up here. They die in 3 attacks. And we just counter their Wrath. Seven mana, so they'll only have 2 mana up after they try to burn down the house, which isn't enough to pay for the flip the switch. So I guess if we took the Storm Chaser Drake instead of the Wretched Throng, then we'd have lethal on board here even if we counter burn down the house. And they didn't attack with Spell Rune Painter. Oh, they're gonna go Shadow Beast Sighting with only 3 mana up afterwards. We could kill them on the spot if they don't have another blocker here. Seems way too bold. Because then we don't have the counter for the burn down the house. just going to play an immediate flyer that also presents lethal over the Whispering Wizard. Duel for dominance. They fight each other, so we still have a Wretched Throng out, so we still just have lethal next turn. See, that's fine. Because it's a fight spell. We'll just kill them with the Throng. Alright. They gotta have 1 mana instant speed removal for Throng. Play Whispering Wizard first. So that if I flip the switch here and Throng still somehow dies, I at least get the 1/1 flyer. Alright. We got it. It was actually really well played by our opponent playing around the flip the switch and not just going for the burden on the house. Because they cast Duel for Dominance on us, we couldn't counter that because they had 5 mana up. So that's probably why they went with the Shadow Beast sighting into Duel for Dominance. So they could play around like a Syncopate or flip the switch kind of counterspell. So really well played by our opponent, but luckily for us, we just drew so many cards at the start of that game that we just had tons left over after the initial Wrath to just keep getting in there with flyers. Round 5 now, 2-2. Another solid keep. The one pretty good thing about playing monocolor decks is you very, very rarely mulligan, because you're never stuck off a certain color at least. And the one major negative, of course, is you have access to just half as many cards during the draft as you would otherwise. Only playing 1 color instead of 2. So the general power level of your cards goes down quite a bit. Because the average card power level of this deck, if we had Catilda, Savior of Averbrook, stuff like that, would go up quite a bit. Alright, Wretched Throng on 2. Let's get this game started. Unfortunately, the most common red removal spell exiles in this format, the Flame Blessed Bolt. But Gift of Fangs does not exile, so we do get to grab our second Throng off of that one, which is nice. Up a card there, and now we have something to play turn 3, which is very, very nice. Probably just going to keep running out flyers and then hold a Devious Cover up against a Toxrill or a Dreadfeast Demon kind of bomb. If they have an early game bomb, like one of the cheap rare flyer vampires, that would be... that'll just be a bad time, and I'll just accept that. That is a potential happenstance. I think I go Gale Drifter first. Because if it draws removal, it might actually come back from the grave. We're not going to cast a non-creature spell for quite some time here. Just going to run out flyers. Blood-Crazed Socialite. Big aggressive attacker here. Hits us for 5 with Menace every attack. We double block with Cruel Witness and Wretched Throng. We get got by a combat trick. We get destroyed pretty majorly, so I think we're just racing here for now. as hard as that Socialite can hit. Got a lot of flyers to hit back. Wedding security. It's not great for us. That'll draw them a card off that blood token and attack as a 5/5, so they probably attack with that instead of the Socialite next time. I guess we could double block with 2 3/3s and only lose one of them. We can also just attack in and still try to race. Then I chump block Wedding Security with Wretched Throng. I attack for 6, they go down to 12, they go to 13 when they sack the blood. The next turn I attack for 9, when they're at 13 they go to 4. Might be wrong here, but I'm just going to get in and try to race. Especially with Secrets of the Key, setting up our top deck with double Cruel Witness on the board. And then we just hold up counters next turn. Like, if they don't remove one of the flyers right now, we can definitely hit as hard as we want to. We just have to hope they can't hit us super hard. So basically our biggest worry is they play another big creature this turn. Because this is the one turn we'll have our shields down here. And we could still go for a double block to block and kill one of these. Which it might be worth it on the Socialite, because we'd only lose one creature there. At least. We just lose the Cruel Witness and we still have Wretched Throng to block Wedding Security in the future, but then we're only dealing 6 in the sky, so that does slow down our clock dramatically. That means it's 3 turns to kill them instead of just 2. But if they gain 1 more life, it's going to take 3 turns to kill them anyway, right? If they have... Well, if they gain 1 life and have a removal spell. I think I'm just doing a little chumpy here. Let's give it that nice shuffle. Stromkirk Blood Thief, so they put a counter on one of their vampires. It's kind of bad, but I think we can still outrace. Now I don't think we can, because now they have a flying blocker. Now we're certainly losing the race. This is now looking very bad. Revenge of the Drowned, though. That's an idea. So if we Revenge of the Drowned the Courier Bat, we lose to a single blood token. Like, Revenge of the Drowned that, attack everybody. They hit us for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, we just lose on the spot. So I guess we could still Revenge of the Drowned it and attack with just the 2 Cruel Witnesses to put them to 7, and then they are dead to 1 more attack next turn, and I can at least block the Blood Thief. So we take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we die to a blood token. So I could Revenge Courier Bat and accept that I die to a blood token here. Or I could just hold back, but I feel like holding back goes really poorly. What happens if they attack all if I hold back? We can double block Wedding Security and just lose 1 Cruel Witness, but then Gale-Drifter blocks like Courier Bat and we still take like 7. I feel like our best shot is just they don't have a blood token, maybe? Oh, Startle would have been a really good card to just have immediately. Alright, no blood token, please. We also died a removal here, though. Voldaren Stinger doesn't change anything. Bloodcrazed Socialite's a blood token, that's lethal. That's lethal. That's 11. That's not lethal anymore. And we have lethal crackbacks still. They attack all, they have lethal here. Oh, that is... Oh, they used it on Wedding Security. Okay, I was going to say that's 12 because I forgot about Wedding Security getting buffed, but that Wedding Security only gets buffed if they don't buff Socialite, so we just take 10, attack for 9. They attack all here, we block there. I guess it's not lethal because I forgot we can just block there instead of blocking a 2-2. So if they attack all, we block there, but then we don't have the lethal crackback. Alright, weird. I did the math way wrong there, but our opponent did too, so it's all... It all balances out, I guess. We get the victory there. 3 and 2 it is. Yeah, I was going to say the only way the attack works really well for us is if our opponent doesn't get the blood token, because then even if they attack all, we block the 2-2, keep our flyer around, and attack back for lethal. But luckily for us, they didn't even attack all, so they didn't put us in a position where we had to make a chump there. And this hand is slow. It's all 4 mana. I'm just going to mulligan. And this is way faster. Big keep. Probably supposed to get rid of Organ Hoarder, but it's also sick nasty, so I'm going to keep it. Vampire Interloper. That'll be a nice trade for our Lantern Bearer. Or I could just try to outrace it. I don't really feel like it. If I trade with Interloper, it just feels like a trade up. Because we get it back from the grave, which is just awesome. So Ecstatic Awakener from our opponent. They might just sack their Interloper, seeing all these flyers on our board. Maybe, maybe not. Right, they're not going to. So the Interloper cannot block. So we can definitely attack him with Storm Chaser Drake, but I think I'm holding Lantern Bearer back. And that just keeps all that Interloper damage off me forever, basically. And here's Geralth. Visionary Stitcher. So our Organ Hoarder is going to be flying now, which is super awesome. Opponent's stuck on mono black so far. They are going to go ahead and flip the Awakener to a 4/4, draw a card. We'll take it. We can outrace that. That Organ Hoarder down with flying. Draw Revenge of the Drowned here, I kind of like. I'm not really going to play a Stitched Assistant when I have a Whispering Wizard to play. Slap a Ceremonial Knife onto the Demon. Just trying to dig out of their mana situation. With this blood token. We attack back for 7, so we kill them in 2 attacks. We already killed them in 2 attacks, so I'm actually just going to hold up Flip the Switch or Revenge the Drowned, whichever is necessary to stop what they're doing, so that we just crack back for lethal a turn from now. Then we'll even have 9 damage on board, whichever one of these we cast, because we'll have a 2/2 decayed zombie as well. So if they just like pass the turn here trying to block with Awoken Demon, we can revenge it. And if they try to cast something good, then we can flip the switch on it and then revenge the demon during our turn. If they attack with demon, I'm just going to let it, and we'll hold up the flip the switch. Graveyard Trespasser, that is the target for the flip the switch, and that is lethal on board. By a lot. And there's the concession from our opponent, just a bit mana screwed there, stuck on just triple black to start the game off. But that means we're now 4-2, so an above average run here with the mono blue deck. We are going to need one more win to get all of our gems back out of this. 5 wins is what will net you 1,500 gems in the format. It is pretty expensive. The gem payout is worse than general because you are getting 2 rares in each pack plus Dracula card styles, but it is still definitely not a format I would recommend to people trying to free to play or just add to their collection. It is quite expensive. But yeah, we'll see if we can't get our 1,500 gems back here. Oh, the other thing to say about the Dracula card styles, I found out the other day, they are bugged, they are glitched. You only get a Dracula card style for the first event you enter. After that, it just stopped working, it just glitches out. So you are going to receive 2 Dracula card styles for each draft you entered in this format once the Kamigawa update hits. So there's going to be a big delay on when you get the Dracula card styles, but that means I'll probably have all 17, because I'm only planning on doing probably 7 or 8 of these drafts. Just doing them pretty much every day this week, but then next week I'll probably be playing some Adventures in the Forgotten Realms when the quick drafts come out, and playing some the Trash Cube with Garbage Andy, talking about Kamigawa spoilers, a lot of that kind of stuff. So probably just this week it's going to be a draft every day, but that's still going to be enough now that it's 2 Dracula card styles per draft. Probably still enough to complete that collection there. Anyways, let's get that ramble out of the way. Let's get into the most important round here. Round 7, the round that determines whether or not we break even on gems. And this hand's a bit slow, but I'm still going to keep it because that Secret's the key to give us a little bit of card draw. Maybe drawn to an early game play. And Startle as well. Draws us 1 card when we play it, slows our opponent down. Make sure they don't kill us as quickly. Don't put as much damage on us while we can't do anything else. Ooh, now we get to hold up a Syncopate or a Startle, or just draw a card off our Clue token. So I think I'm going to let Sporeback Wolf hit me for 2, just so I can hold Syncopate up for what they might try to play main phase 2. And if it's nothing threatening, we'll just crack the Clue token. Sporecrawler, I think that's threatening enough with nothing on the board to go ahead and counter here, because it also counters that card draw they could get off of it. Now we have an Organ Hoarder on 4, that's pretty great. I actually think I'd rather crack my Clue token than Startle here, because I could save Startle for a point where I can stop their creature from killing mine. So, you know, Startle the Sporeback Wolf when I'm blocking it with a 3/2, so that it's 0 power and I get to keep my Organ Hoarder around. Something like that. Although I could also just play Cruel Witness first before the Organ Hoarder, because we still have plenty of cards to play. So we don't need to play our card draw card first, we can just play the higher toughness card that's better at blocking. So there's an Undead Butler, they mill 3, when it dies they bring one of their creatures from grave back to hand. Currently there are no creatures in their grave. Not a great mill from them. So we'll crack the Clue. Now we've got 4 mana, we'll play the higher toughness blocker here, I think the Cruel Witness. Would love to play Whispering Wizard once we have 6 mana. So probably Organ Hoarder next turn. And then we can play Whispering Wizard and Startle in the same turn, to guarantee some value out of Whispering Wizard's ability to create flyers. If they want to spend a combat trick as a removal spell to kill Cruel Witness, that's fine by me. A little 1-for-1 trade here. Alright, spend a removal spell to kill it. Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Fair enough. We do have the 6th mana now for Whispering Wizard Startle next turn. Let's see what we get with Organ Hoarder. I like Devious Cover up here quite a bit because we're not going to have the mana for Wretched Throng anyway. That gives us a great counterspell to hold up once our opponent starts hitting mana. They're stuck on mana for now, so no big scary threats yet, but we're going to want to counterspell up when they do have them. So I think we go Wizard Startle turn 6 here. And then after this turn is where we just start holding up our 4 mana instants. We'll play Wretched Throng and hold up a Devious Cover up our Secrets of the Key, depending on whether or not we need to counter something. Contortionist Troop is a big threat. If they put another creature out with 3 power or 4 power, they'll trigger Coven, and all of a sudden their field's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger throughout this game. It's going to be really hard to deal with. Dormant Grove is very similar. Unfortunately, we don't have the counter mana up for that, but that's going to put a +1/+1 counter on one of their creatures once every turn. It just gives them inevitability. If the game goes long, their board is going to be like infinitely bigger than ours. So if there's any way that we can kill one of their creatures on an attack here, we need to do everything we can to do that. So hopefully they send in an attack, and we just go ahead and snipe one of these creatures off the board to stop Coven. But they play it really safe, which is smart, but also annoying for us. Means they just get to sit on Dormant Grove and Contortionist Troop and let their board just get absolutely absurd. Should I startle right now so we can start hitting them in the sky, put a little bit of pressure on them? Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a card here and get a 1/1 to attack them. We've got Flip the Switch up too. So we go Wretched Throng, hold up all the 4 mana instants. And our plan now is to spit out another flyer every turn and try to outrace them. If they attack with anything, we're going to like triple block to kill it. I guess double block, we're not going to block with Whispering Wizard. So they're going to flip the Grove here, make it a 3/6, or are they just going to keep making the field bigger? Play the slow game, I like it. I am happy with that. Just make Undead Butlers slightly bigger. Okay, looks like double block time to me. We do lose 2 creatures if we double block though. But we get one of their creatures off the board to stop Coven, which is pretty big. It's probably worth the 2-for-1, especially because we have so much card draw in hand. We can deal with losing a bit of card advantage on board. Shuffle. Shadow Beast Siding. I'm going to go ahead and use the counterspell that exiles on that so they can't flash it back at a later time. We're going to bring back Organ Hoarder, Cruel Witness, double Wretched Throng maybe? Syncopate would be fine. It's going to be a bad draw like really late. I guess we'll always have enough mana to... Yeah, we'll have more mana than our opponent pretty much all game here, so Syncopate seems fine. 2, 3... And then I guess Startle if we're not getting both Wretched Throngs. We'll just get 1. So that means no Coven from them here. They're also very far off from flipping Dormant Grove because they need 6 toughness to do so. We'll counter any bigger creatures they play. Keep hitting them in the sky here. We do have the mana to play Stitched Assistant here and still hold up Flip the Switch, so I think I'll go for that. And if we hit a land, we're still holding up all the 4 mana instants. And we do hit a land, so I'll take it. So we can play Secrets of the Key or Scattered Thoughts if we don't need to counter this turn. I really like getting another 3/2 on this board, something that's much more expendable to block with. Counter an Undead Butler to make it a 3/4. We take 3, I think, if they do that. they put a counter on Contortionist Troop, I might just double block. Although we'd lose Wizard. Maybe not. Whatever they put the counter on, I'm just not going to block. But I'll block whatever they don't put the counter on. Might need to just slam down a 5/5 next turn. But luckily, at that point, we'll probably not have a counterspell in hand anymore, so there'll be no point in really holding up a bunch of instant speed mana anyway. Just Undead Butler still. Try to get Sporeback Wolf back. I mean, just take 2. Could also use one of these and then chump block, but I'd rather hold up our counter mana. I'll just take 2. Blood Fountain? Sure. That I will allow. They'll have to spend their whole turn cracking that in the future. That is just a 2/3. I think I just allow that as well. And I just Scattered Thoughts. Organ Hoarder and Storm Chaser Drake. Pretty nice pickups. They don't have Coven, they only have 2s and 4s out, so no extra counter in the end step here. We do have the mana to play Organ Hoarder and still hold up the Flip the Switch. We could also play Storm Chaser Drake plus Catgeist and hold up the Flip the Switch, and we have plenty of cards in hand already, and that puts more flying damage on the board. So I think I want to go that way. I should be doing this main phase too, but I am always just too excited to play my cool stuff. Alright. Our flying threats are now 3 turns from killing them. Pretty fast clock here. We've got a great chump blocker in our Mischievous Catgeist now. That'll block any other creatures without killing it. So if we don't want to trigger Undead Butler's Death Rattle ability, we can just chump block with a Mischievous Catgeist. Send our bigger blockers elsewhere. And it's of course a really good aura to slap onto the Storm Chaser Drake. There's Old Rutstein. That's a big enough deal, I'm just going to counter that. They can bring it back with Blood Fountain, but that's going to be too slow, because that's going to soak up 4 of their mana, so it's basically going to take a whole turn from them in the future. So if they put a counter on one of the 2/3s, then they'll have Coven again. They'll get a counter in the end step as well. But again, as worrisome as all these +1/+1 counters are, they're getting 2 a turn max. And they have to outrace a lot of flying damage here, which is going to be difficult. I'm actually cool with taking another 2 and saving our chump blocker for later, so we can chump block 5 or 6 damage from a Contortionist Troop or something. We've got a Syncopate up now, that feels excellent. We probably don't even need to hold up that much mana to do it, so I can just Organ Hoarder and still hold up Syncopate, I think. Well, these are all awesome. These are all really good here. I guess Lantern Bearer in the grave makes it really insanely likely to find lethal next turn, so we'll pick up the Startle, so that if we don't have to Syncopate, we're still casting a non-creature spell, which means we're getting another 1/1 flyer. And then of course Lantern Bearer in the grave means we get to slap this onto one of our 3/2s and have 4 more flying power next turn. It's incredibly unlikely that we can't find lethal next turn, so they have to find a way to kill us on their next combat, and we've got quite a few blockers here, as well as a Syncopate for 2. Just trying to figure out what could be a potential out for them here. Do they need to crack this blood and discard a decent card to try to dig for a specific out they have in their deck? Yeah, they do. They have to discard Avabrook Caretaker because they were just choked on the mana from playing that massive bomb. All right, flip that Grove. This is pretty much their final attack. I'm sure they're aware, so they're probably just trying to get as much power on this board as possible, as quickly as possible. Try to get there with maybe a trample combat trick or something like that. Whole field's got Vigilance, so no reason not to send all. The trample combat trick in this set, I think, is +2/+2 trample. So I think that if we do this, we can't die. We take 2, we go to 8. They do +2/+2 trample here, so we take 8 plus 7 more. Or 8 plus 7, or 2 plus 7 more. We take 9 total and go to 1. So we survive the trample combat trick this way. The reason I'm blocking to survive the trample combat trick is because it costs 1 mana, so we can't syncopate that. But I'm not blocking in a way to survive them playing a Wrath or something crazy like that, because we can syncopate a Wrath. Cannot syncopate that, but that also doesn't do anything, so that's okay. Three mana up. Just go for the Coven trigger at the end step. Alright, so they're not casting anything here. Just to be safe, I'm going to hold on to Syncopate in case they're trying to sneak in an instant speed removal spell on one of our flyers. So now I have Syncopate and Lantern Bearer on Whispering Wizard for lethal, because they have no reach creatures still. So this is just lethal. And there's the concession from our opponent. And we had the Syncopate for 4 up, so no matter what's in their hand there, just counter that and get in for lethal. So that'll do it. That's 5 wins and 2 losses. That's breaking even, getting the 1,500 gems right back out of this draft. Here we are now in round 8. A little bit of a slow hand, but some of our most impactful 3 and 4 mana cards. Geralf into Organ Hoarder. Opponent is on white though, and they start with a Gavany Trapper. Could be an aggressive deck to punish us here. But Trapper's also a bit of a defensive card. Well, works great on the offense too, and that's a 1/1 double striker turn 2. They can slap that over onto something else later, make a really big double striking flyer. That's about the scariest thing you can do with that card. Looks like our opponent's on white-black with the borrowed time to get Geralf. White-black is a pretty nasty color combination. They can have some life gain synergies that can lead to getting a bunch of +1/+1 counters on their cards. They can have some... they can have just a stack of removal. They have some of the best removal in the whole format. Cards like Borrowed Time alongside Bleed Dry and Defenestrate, and black just has insane removal in this format, so see how things go here. This would be a trade if I block because of double strikes, so I'm just going to take the 2. Perish Blade Trainee, a 1/2 with training, and then there's the Mind Leech Ghoul to help train that up, so it attacks as a 2/3. It's got a Startle up now to get a good block out. Lots of instants to play around with here. They could Gavany Trapper or Organ Hoarder if they have nothing else to play in hand here. Just keep the pressure on us. That's the unfortunate part about playing against a deck with a lot of cheap creatures, is that our counter spells are going to be pretty dead in hand, to where they can just be like, alright, I'm going to dump these creatures out, then keep tapping your creature, and you're just going to die to 1 and 2 mana cards, because once they're on the board, there's not a ton we can do about it. So if we kill that Perish Blade Trainee, they're going to put its counters somewhere else anyway. So I think I'm going to go for the kill on the Mind Leech Ghoul here. Should have done the Startle pre-block. But it looks like it won't matter here, it's going to go off. Pointed Discussion, they're going to draw 2, lose 2 life. Let's go ahead and get a Clue token and draw the card off of it here. 2 mana up now. Lunarch Veteran it is. Just a little 1/1 there. Nothing too big of a deal. Hold up a Devious Cover-Up or Secrets of the Key. We only have one 3/2 blocker right now, so it might just be better to slam down the 5/5. But they can start using Gavony Trapper's ability and just tap that down anyway, but then they can just tap down Organ Hoarder anyway. Go for the Dreadlight Monstrosity here. We gotta get some stuff to block. We're at 12. Taking 5 damage if we don't have a blocker up. And with Gavony Trapper, they're going to tap one of our blockers down for sure, if they don't have something else to cast. Unfortunately, the hard misread on when they were going to have a bomb in hand is going to be locked out of the game here. Yep, we just lose on the spot because we didn't hold cover up. I think we were in a bad spot either way. We probably lose either way. My biggest consideration with just dropping Monstrosity is the fact that, like, if they don't just have, like, a Stone Cold Bomb in hand, then we pass to them with just Organ Hoarder out. They tap Organ Hoarder, hit us to 5, we're down to 7, and then, like, we just still try to keep Devious Cover-Up down, and they just trap Organ Hoarder again and hit us for 5. Like, we just die if I sit here holding up Cover-Up. And there's no telling. Like, we were tapped out there, so maybe had we not tapped out, if we just had 6 blue mana up, maybe they would have done that. They would have just held Lysa in hand and tapped down the Organ Hoarder, and we still die that way. So, I don't know. Lysa definitely locks it, but we were in a very bad spot before. They've got another Borrowed Time too anyways. Trainee trains again. They kill one of these creatures, so they kill Cruel Witness and then they put the counters onto Lysa or the Twinblade Geist. We have to draw into, like, a card that puts one on top to get rid of the counters. And we're taking 7 here otherwise. Don't think we can afford. Yeah, I mean, we're going through the motions here, but our two choices are choices between two very bad lines of just don't block or double block. But we do get the Revenge of the Drown that I was talking about, which would counter the counters, which is cool. But now Gavony Trapper traps Organ Hoarder, and they attack for lethal. They attempt to attack for lethal. We even have to bounce the Twinblade Geist here. I guess if they don't block Organ Hoarder, we don't have to bounce Twinblade Geist. I was going to say, if we bounce Lysa, we're stopping 4 damage. If we bounce Twinblade Geist, we're stopping 6, but we can also chump block Twinblade Geist. Yet again, I would like to point out this is 100% going through the motions. We've been dead a few turns here. So these lines are going to look like straight hot garbage because they're basically like our only choices. This way maybe I can cover up Lysa. But we have to draw into like a million creatures here for that to matter. But we'll see. We do have Secrets of the Key to draw more, potentially. There's one creature to chump block the Geist. They haven't been using the Trapper so far, so maybe it will go off. Maybe we will get the chump block. Although now they have the opportunity to just do it during our end step. So because they have the opportunity to do that, they might just actually use the Trapper's ability here just in the end step. Yep, game on the spot. 8 damage on the board, even if we can counter Lisa. So that was just a very good aggressive white-black deck from our opponent. They just got enough creatures onto the board before we could hold up counters that it... Really, I don't even think the Lisa mattered that much. Lisa killed us a lot faster, but we were already just dying to all that small stuff. They had the removal to back it up. They had another borrowed time to get rid of our 5/5 anyway, and they could just keep tapping down the few creatures that we could potentially block with to kill us with those small creatures. They just got down onto the board before we can hold up counter spells in blue. So 5-3 here, still a pretty great run. Definitely above average, and we break even on gems. Go ahead and claim all those gems here, but that is going to end today's video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to stick around on the channel. There will be plenty more in the near future. You can also check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below to hang out with me live. I do that pretty much every Friday at least, and unscheduled streams outside of that, just whenever I feel like it. And yeah, that will be it for today's video. We've got the Trash Cube again this Friday, or I guess this Saturday for YouTubers. We've got Kamigawa Neon Dynasty coming out January 10th. February 10th, and we will be playing a ton of those drafts as well. Adventures in the Forgotten Realm quick drafts will be back starting Friday, so I'll be doing some of those. Lots of great, fun drafts on the horizon. So as always, once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.